The storm rolled across the open plains like a living creature, swallowing the sky in thick grey waves. The rancher had felt storms before, but this one carried a strange heaviness, like the land itself was holding its breath. He hurried to secure the horses inside the barn, fighting the wind as it whipped against his coat. Just as he pulled the last gate shut, he sensed a presence behind him, a kind of quiet weight that didn't belong to the storm. When he turned, Nayeli stood in the doorway, drenched from the sudden rain, even soaked. She looked carved from strength, tall, imposing. Her long braids stuck to her shoulders. Her silhouette filled the doorway so completely that the lantern light barely outlined her edges. But something in her eyes softened the wild power she carried. For the first time since he'd known her, she looked unsure. "You shouldn't be out in this weather," he said, surprised that his voice came out steady. "I needed to tell you something," she replied, stepping inside. Water dripped from her clothes, forming tiny puddles on the dirt floor. She glanced around the barn, almost as if she was searching for courage among the quiet horses and warm hay. "I haven't had sex in 6 months. The rancher froze, not because of the words themselves, but because of the way she said them, raw, honest, unarmored. Nayeli was not a woman driven by shame or flirtation. She was blunt because her world demanded bluntness. But tonight her voice trembled with something deeper. "It's not my body that suffers," she went on, pressing a hand to her chest. "It's here. My spirit grows heavy. My heart feels like it has stopped being seen." She swallowed hard, her massive shoulders rising and falling with a quiet exhaustion. "I don't tell anyone in my tribe. A protector must never show longing." He took a small step forward, careful not to crowd her. She was powerful in every sense. Yet in this moment she looked like someone carrying a weight no one had ever offered to help lift. "What do you need from me?" he asked softly. She looked up, meeting his eyes with a mixture of fear and hope. "I don't know," she whispered. "Maybe someone who listens." Thunder cracked outside, shaking the barn walls. But inside a fragile calm settled between them. Two people who had spent years hiding their loneliness, suddenly facing it in each other's presence. The sun was barely rising when the rancher found Nayeli again, this time sitting alone on a wide stone ledge that overlooked the canyon. The wind tugged at her braids, lifting them like dark ribbons against the pale morning sky. She didn't look back as he approached, but the faint loosening of her shoulders told him she knew he was there, and that a part of her was relieved. "You think I told you that?" "Because I wanted something from you," she said quietly, eyes fixed on the horizon. He lowered himself onto the rock beside her, careful to give her space. "I wasn't sure why," he admitted. A small, humorless smile touched her lips. "People always assume a woman who speaks so plainly must be desperate." She shook her head. "But that's not what this is." For a moment she simply breathed, letting the silence stretch. The canyon below them glowed with soft orange light, the river cutting a slow, patient path through the stone, something ancient and enduring like her. "I told you because I had no one else," she finally said. "In my tribe I lead the hunts. I check the traps before dawn. I keep watch when others sleep. I stand between them and danger." Her voice wavered just barely. "A protector cannot show loneliness. If we show longing, others think we are distracted. If we show weakness, they think we are failing." The rancher turned to study her face, strong jaw, steady eyes, but beneath it all, a tiredness she had never allowed anyone to see. "That's a lot to carry," he murmured. She laughed softly, almost bitterly. "More than you know. You start to forget what it feels like to want something just for yourself. You forget you're allowed to be human." He let the wind fill the space between them before he spoke again. "You said no one listens," he said. "But I am listening." She finally turned her head toward him, her gaze searching his. The hardness she wore like armor cracked for a breath, revealing something tentative and vulnerable underneath. "You are a small man to say such big things," she said gently. "But I think you mean them." "I do," he replied. Her eyes softened, the first real easing he had seen since her confession. "You're the first man who didn't laugh," she whispered. "And you're the first woman who trusted me with something real," he answered. The canyon wind carried their words away. But the truth of them lingered. Two people from different worlds, discovering that the loneliness they feared might not be so unbearable when shared. The morning the trouble came, the rancher woke to the sound of hooves, fast, reckless, not the rhythm of anyone who belonged on this land. He stepped onto the porch, with his rifle slung low but not raised, squinting against the early light. 3 riders approached, dust rising behind them like a warning. Their faces were hard, hungry for intimidation. The kind of men who believed silence was weakness and kindness was an invitation to take more. "You the one helping those Apache women?" The lead rider called out, his voice sharp as a rusted blade. The rancher didn't flinch. "I help whoever needs help." "That's a dangerous habit," another man sneered. Before the rancher could respond, the air shifted, an unmistakable tremor, soft but powerful, like footsteps too heavy for ordinary ground. The riders' horses spooked first, ears twitching, muscles tightening. A shadow stretched long across the dirt as Nayeli emerged from the tree line. She walked with the calm of someone who had faced fear so many times it no longer impressed her. Sunlight caught along her shoulders, making her seem even larger, more formidable. The riders didn't move. For a breath, none of them even seemed to breathe. "You threaten him," Nayeli said, her voice steady and cold. "You threaten me." The leader straightened in his saddle, trying to mask the way his hands trembled. "We're not looking for trouble." "Then ride away," she replied, "now." Her presence alone was enough. The riders exchanged uneasy glances, and within moments they wheeled their horses around, disappearing in a trail of dust. Only when they were far beyond sight did the rancher's held breath finally escape. He turned to her. "You didn't have to step in." "Yes," she said softly, "I did." She walked closer, each step quiet despite her size. For the first time, she seemed unsure of how to stand, where to look. Finally, she knelt, bringing herself level with him, something she had never done for anyone. "You protect my spirit when I cannot," she said. "So today I protected yours." He swallowed, overwhelmed by how close she was, by the warmth of her breath mingling with his. "Are we something to each other now?" Her forehead touched his gently, a gesture more intimate than any words. "I don't ask you to fix my loneliness," she whispered, "only to stand beside me so I don't face it alone." "And I will," he promised. In the quiet after the danger faded, something new settled between them. Trust, fragile but real, the kind that grows only when two hearts finally stop hiding.